My name is Hannah Morr, and my husband and I have 4 kids that are 10, 8, 5, and 4. We lived in Tacoma for about 6 years now, and we've been leading missional communities and DNAs for this time. We live in a broken part of the city that has a lot of single-parent families, and so part of our mission has been to love on single moms and their kids. We lived here for about 6 years, and so in these 6 years, I've been in a number of DNAs with a lot of different women, and super grateful for each of those women that have been in my life. It's been a privilege. There are a lot of things I've learned through trial and error, I think, with DNA groups. One is that there's no right way to do it. And that is because everyone is so unique. And when you get a group of 3 or 4 women together, everyone has a totally different life story. Some have known Jesus for 2 months, or maybe it's 2 years or 20 years, so we're in all different places. And so the needs are going to be really different of your group. And so every group's going to look totally different, and that's a great thing. One of the things for sure is with any DNA group, it's so important to start with telling your story in great detail. So we will often spend at least an hour on each person's story. So maybe that means it's 2 or 3 different meetings, and you tell your story from birth until present. And it's a super sweet time together where you listen super carefully, you ask each other questions, you cry with each other because usually there's painful things that are being shared that maybe have never been shared before. And then I think most importantly, you can help each other point out where God was in your story. How did he pursue you? How did he take care of you? Because often that's hard for us to see. So that's an awesome thing about knowing each other's stories. And then as you walk in DNA together and you walk through life together, you can know someone's history and say, hey, like when you were saying that just now, it made me think of that thing that happened years ago. Do you think it's connected? What do you think Jesus wants to say to you in that? How does the gospel apply? And so that is, super, super important to always start with story. And then I think that one of the things about DNA is that I've seen that there's a growth opportunity in DNA that just is not available anywhere else. So not in a small group Bible study, not in a missional community, it's too large, it's both genders, not even at a church gathering, because you can encourage each other very personally, you can pray super specifically, you are able to be super honest about your struggle and where you're at. You can bare your heart. You can say the things that you maybe think but don't want anyone to know. And so when you get to that level with people, then you can say, what does the gospel say to that? Like, how can we apply the gospel to that? And so there's just such a huge growth opportunity. I've seen people grow so much, including myself, through being in a DNA that I think really can't happen in any other way. The other thing I've learned is that it's not just a once-a-week meeting. Really, you're committing to being in each other's lives as much as you can. You do meet once a week if you can make that happen. But then just throughout the week, praying for each other, texting each other, maybe following up on a conversation that happened in DNA that happened just this week with my DNA. Something came up with somebody, and I felt the next days the Spirit was saying, hey, I want next time you guys are together, I want you to really pray through that thing because I have more freedom for her to experience. And so I texted our DNA that, and they said, sounds great. So, it's not like you just meet once and don't have any touch points till the next week, but you're trying to love each other well as sisters. And the other thing too is with my DNA, I text them prayer requests all the time. We went through a time recently where we lost a baby that we thought we were going to adopt. And I was a mess for like a month. And so many times I texted my DNA and said, girls, will you pray for me? I'm struggling to get through this day. And so really because you can't always get together and get face to face, but you can let each other know how you're doing and be there for each other, which is a beautiful thing. Over the years, being in DNA has been a wonderful thing, but there have been a number of struggles as well. And so one of those, I'll just name a few, and then I want to share kind of what we've done about that. One is just consistency. So if you don't have a great time and people aren't consistent, it is super hard to just be able to really have a great DNA time with people. One shows up, 2 don't show up, another one shows up. Another thing is having a good place. If you're trying to meet in a place or situation that's super distracting, it's okay, but you really can't talk super openly. Childcare can be hard if you're a parent and you're trying to figure out what that can look like. Kids get sick or your spouse is busy. So childcare often makes it difficult. Too many people. Sometimes in a missional community, there's a ton of people that need to be in the DNA, and if you make it too large, that is really hard. And then I think another thing that a lot of people have said is difficult is knowing what to do. So kind of like, well, let's just hang out and let's talk and let's catch up. And sometimes you need to do just that, but you end up just doing that and just kind of going away and saying, oh, I'll pray for you. And so really knowing what to do can be a struggle for some DNA groups as well. So there have been a number of ways we've tried to just address the struggle. One with consistency is really talking to your DNA and working really hard to nail down a time that really will work for everybody, even if it's inconvenient. Like if it's sometimes we won't meet till 8:30 at night. Our kids are in bed. It's kind of inconvenient, but it works better. Or sometimes people will meet super early in the morning because that's the only time they can really be consistent with. So working hard to find a time. Finding a place that is without distraction, at least not a lot of distraction, is important. I think that sometimes if you meet in a really busy coffee shop or restaurant, and if you have people right next to you, there's a ton of stuff you're not going to share, you're not going to talk about, it's going to be embarrassing. And so you just only share certain things. And so I have found that meeting in a home usually is an awesome thing to do because there is privacy and there is quiet. And so working that out. Sometimes, of course, you want to go out. Sometimes we will go for a walk in the summer when it's nice. We'll go for a long walk and do our DNA then. Childcare, I think that just has to be something that if you're a parent, you work out with your spouse and they put it on their calendar like, okay, have the kids every Tuesday night at this time, and that's clear between you so there's not miscommunication. And with single moms, sometimes like I've been in DNAs with moms who we just make sure we do our DNA when their ex-husband has the kids. Or if there isn't a dad in the picture, then we have to work it out where it's at their house or it's at a time that works for them. So really working with single moms in that too. And for numbers, you really can't have more than 3 or 4. I've tried it and it's hard. So that everyone gets a chance to really share and that consistency stays good. And then I think knowing what to do, there are a lot of things you can do during DNA. At times you do just need to catch up. So say people have missed 1 or 2 times, you just need to all catch up on what's been going on in your lives and say, this is how you can pray for me and this is what's been happening. Other times we will spend time just in Scripture, reading books of the Bible together and talking about it and asking, what does this mean for our lives? Sometimes we will just pray, like maybe really hone in on something that's been going on and sit in prayer together, which is great. We have also just done like a basic Bible study, which a couple of DNAs I've been with women who have very, very little Bible knowledge, and so that's been great to go, let's do a Bible study, like look up this verse, what does this mean, and to really learn together in that sense. And sometimes you just do something fun. So where you go out to eat or you do something fun you guys wanted to do together. And so there's a lot of different things that you can do. I think the key is not letting it just be where you just sit around and just kind of talk and you go away and don't know what you really accomplished together. And that you really ask hard questions as well. I think one piece of advice I would say about DNAs is that sometimes it can feel like another extra thing and you're like not quite sure if it's worth it. But it is totally worth your time and the time of those you would be in it to really commit and say you're going to walk alongside these people for whatever season of time that God gives you. I was just talking this morning with a person who I've been DNA with off and on for a number of years, and she's my closest friend here in Tacoma. And we were talking about how God has grown us so much through our times in DNA together, and there have been other people involved in that too, but you almost don't realize it as it's happening. You just, okay, we're doing DNA, but over years or months of consistency, we're able to see, wow, God has used this DNA group massively in our lives, not just to disciple and nurture each other, but to help us learn how to listen and speak the gospel to our kids and to our husband and to the other people in our lives. So DNA is also just a training piece that helps you know how to listen well and apply the gospel to people's lives. So it's a wonderful thing.